the best horror films you probably haven't seen. Now, this is a topic I've wanted to do for quite a while, and I'm going to start a series of videos at some point where I start talking about horror gems that are like really not known or really cult, or quite obscure but are really worth watching, because horror is the probably has the most films within its genre, perhaps with the exception of westerns, than any other genre in film. So there's a lot of, unfortunately, rubbish within the horror genre, but there are, some really, really, really amazing, amazing films out there, and there is even a smaller number of ones which few people have heard of or are quite obscure. Now I'm going to talk about my not my top three, but I'm going to talk about um, three underrated horror films which I think a lot of people probably haven't seen. But you probably have. I'm not talking down to you. I mean, like, let's say you probably have. You probably haven't seen it, but you probably have. That doesn't make any sense. What I mean is that some of you may have watched these films before, but what I'd really like is if we could all start recommending some films to each other, because there's nothing better than getting given a film you've never heard of before, checking it out, and just being like, why isn't this film talked about more? Because it totally blows you away. So I'm going to talk about three underrated horror films, or three horror films you may have not seen, and each one is from a sort of different era, and that's specifically why I've sort of chosen the three of them. So the first one is The Night Stalker. Now, The Night Stalker is a film I've talked about briefly on this channel. It was the film which then spawned the TV series Kolchak, The Night Stalker, which is my favourite television series of all time. Now, the television series was quite tongue in cheek in a lot of ways and quite campy and kitsch in certain ways, but the original film, The Night Stalker, was not. The original film was, I think it was written by Richard Matheson, I think it was directed by Dan Curtis, and it is a fantastic film. I actually think it's one of the best vampire movies ever made. The film is about a reporter called Carl Kolchak who works in Las Vegas, and while he's working there for a newspaper, there are a series of gruesome murders where people are having the blood drained from them, and the question then arises: is there actually a vampire in Las Vegas, or is it some sort of just maniac that thinks he's a vampire? And Kolchak goes to investigate, whether this really is, the real deal, a real member of the undead. There's some really, really creepy moments in it. The whole sequence at the end of the film is very, very creepy, and there's some really. It's like a sort of page turner, It's like you sit on the edge of your seat. I think with the original Night Stalker, it's quite gritty, so you'd be quite surprised if you've watched the television series. This is really gritty compared to what the TV series became. I love both, but some people really love The Night Stalker, the first film, and can't really go the series, but I love all. There was a second film as well called The Night Strangler, which is also very good. But anyway, so film number one, horror films you may not have seen: The Night Stalker. It's from the 1970s, I think around about 72, 73, was it? I think round about then. So definitely check it out. It stars Darren McGavin, and it's a fantastic vampire film. Anyway, so film number two, to me, this is one of the great forgotten horror films. It's a film called The Woman in Black. It's the original adaptation of the Susan Hill novel, which I'm a massive fan of. I've been to see the stage play as well of The Woman in Black. The stage play is phenomenal as well. But they made a television adaptation. I think it was around about 1988, and it's very frightening. It has, people that watched that as a kid, like, all talk about one certain scene, where the woman in black appears in a bedroom, and it's just really frightening. It's a great classic ghost story, about a man who works for a solicitor's firm, who is sent to go through a woman's estate who has recently passed away, and she lived out in this house, in this, out in the back of beyond, in this house that was joined to the land only by a causeway, and when the tide came in, the causeway would be covered, so the house would be sitting on this little piece of land, stranded. And it's about how Arthur Kipps, I think his name is, yeah, Arthur Kipps, he goes to just go through the woman's possessions, and he starts to see this ghostly woman around the town when he goes back to the town to stay, and um, he sees her at the house, and it's really frightening. It's really well done. There's stuff added in there which isn't in the book, but I didn't mind that. That was okay. I think I'm right in saying it was adapted by Nigel Neal, who uh, was famous for writing Quatermass. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was him that adapted it. And it's a fantastic ghost story. It's really scary, really spooky, and it's got a phenomenal ending to it that will just leave you sitting there like. Anyway, so film number one was The Night Stalker from the 1970s. Film number two was The Women in Black from the 1980s. And film number three is one that was only out in the past few years, which is one called Pontypool. Now, Pontypool, it doesn't sound like a horror film. It's a zombie film with a difference. Pontypool is about a washed up radio DJ who is now working for this sort of small American town radio station, and the entire film pretty much takes place within this radio station. Now he's there with his producers, and there's a bit of back and forth between them because he wants to be a bit risky and she won't let him, and I think he used to be like a big radio star. And this character eventually starts getting phone calls from locals phoning into the radio station to tell them that people are starting to act strange, and it's actually a zombie outbreak. You hear the entire outbreak, you hear what's happening outside from the radio station, and you might think, well, if you don't see it, that's not frightening, but it's really builds up a lot of tension. Now, I will admit, I think the film loses it in the end. I think it loses the place. I don't think it has the payoff which the film deserved, but I think for the tension alone, Pontypool is a really excellent horror film, and it's really really worthwhile checking it out. So that's my three picks for three underrated horror films, or three horror films that you've not seen: The Night Stalker, The Women in Black, and Pontypool. Now, Pontypool and The Night Stalker are both available on DVD. The Women in Black, unfortunately, there's a copyright dispute with that film, so it's not available on DVD at the moment, as far as I'm aware. But you may be able to find it. It's a fantastic, fantastic film. All three of them are really good. Well, Night Stalker and Women in Black are fantastic. Pontypool is just a good horror film that tries to take a different approach to the zombie genre, and for the most part it works. And the lead actor, I'm getting old, forgetful, I forget his name, but he's fantastic in Pontypool. So anyway, check out those three films, and I'd really like to know, what horror films have you seen that you think many people don't know about? Maybe it's cult, maybe it's not so well known, and what would you recommend it, and why would you recommend it? So comment down below, let me know, because I would love to get some suggestions for more films to review and stuff like that. And it's just always really nice to pass recommendations. It's nice to be able to speak recommendations between the YouTube community. It's always great. So definitely do a video response as well on this, on your top underrated horror films, or top horror films you haven't seen. I don't know what I'm going to call this video yet. You'll see it above. So that's all for now. Tomorrow I will be doing my full Amicus review of Asylum, and I'm going to start a second review series, which I'll alternate with the Amicus one until it's done. So from now on, I'm going to be doing two review series at once. And the reason for this is that, for example, Amicus has 7 films and an 8th unofficial film, so that's 8 films I've got to get through. And if some of you guys really don't like those films, then, or aren't interested in them, then you've got to go through a lot of videos before you get something that you might be interested in. So from now on, I'm going to do, so say I would do like one Amicus film, for example here, right? I would do one Amicus anthology horror film, do the review of that, and then I would do another horror film, either standalone review or part of a different series and alternate them. So that's what I'm going to do from now on. And I'm thinking of doing two uh, Asian horror films, one South Korean, one Japanese. I Saw the Devil and Uzumaki. And the link between them is that MonkeyTube, one of my subscribers, got a fantastic channel on Asian horror. Definitely check it out. Recommended both films to me. So I'll be putting them in the mix as well while I'm reviewing the Amicus films. And we'll go from there. Thanks for all the great comments everyone's been giving like the past week. It's been fantastic. It's been quite a hard sort of week or two for me, and you guys have really cheered me up. So you're all awesome. See you all soon. Bye bye.